Listen, guys, it's official. I finally figured it out. I know we do our normal intro every single time I introduce myself, but this video we going straight into it. I figured out the biggest problem that people face. It just required some thought. Like I just need to take some time to really think about this to see what the root of everything is. And I figured it out. And they definitely got you. They got you as well. they got you guys. And the biggest problem that most people face around the world is the problem of suggestibility. So just to make sure we're all on the same playing field and understanding of what that is, right? I have the definition pulled up right here on my computer, right? So it says suggestibility is the quality of being inclined to accept and act on the suggestions of others, right? Another definition says a suggestible person is easily influenced by other people's opinions. That right there is the biggest problem that people face around the world. There it is. I've given it to you. The reason for this is because people have been trained their entire lives to be suggestible. And when I'm using the word suggestible, I'm going by like the second definition of being easily influenced by other people's opinions. First thing that people need to understand is everyone has an opinion, and it doesn't cost any money, doesn't cost anything to have an opinion, right? If opinions actually costed money, you would see a lot of people no longer giving their opinions because then obviously if it costs you something, it has to be a meaningful opinion. But because it doesn't, right, especially in like a country of the United States, right, where there's free speech to some degree, right, obviously there's limits to it. People are going to have their opinions, their feelings on different things. Once again, the problem that people face is that they are too suggestible, meaning that they hold the weight of people's opinions oftentimes greater and greater heights, right, than their own, or they don't acknowledge or understand the fact that they have the ability to either accept or reject someone else's opinion. What people say does not have to be reality, does not have to be truth or fact. It does not have to be your truth or your fact. Let's do some examples, right? The first example that I have here for you guys, this is my favorite one to always bring up, is regarding the economy, right? This is what everyone is able to relate with because we hear this without fail every couple of months. Certainly pretty much dang near every year is all this time. A recession, economy's going down, recession this, recession that, economy this, economy that. Just because people are saying it does not have to mean it is true and does not have to mean it has to affect you. There's people who will see that, who watch the news all the time, who will see that, and that is like gospel to them when they hear the word recession or the economy is on a decline or this and that. When for someone like me, and it's like I can hear that and I'm not affected by it whatsoever because there's been plenty of times where we experience a quote unquote recession, right? And I walk outside and everything's the same. Nothing's changed. Everything looks the same to me. My day to day is the same. The day to day of everyone else around me is the same. Nothing's changed. But yet people hear this and immediately it's like their stomach sinks and it's like the end of the world, when a lot of times it doesn't even affect you. Like it may just be that the gas price went up a couple cents or maybe $1. And I understand for some people that might actually have an impact. But that's usually what most people complain about because they don't have anything else to actually complain about when they mention these things, right? Some people are just way too suggestible. Another example, there can be a situation where you, right, obviously we've all experienced this, but you as the viewer was at a crossroads in your life where you had to make an important decision. For a lot of people, when they are at that crossroads for their own life, needing to make an important decision, the first thing they'll do, they'll tap the person to the left. Hey, what do you think I should do? They'll tap the person to the right. What do you think I should do? What do you think you should do? Why don't you ask yourself, what is it that you think you should do about this? What decision do you think you should make? Right? It's just because there's so many people in the world and because everyone has an opinion, and in today's age, right, when anyone and everyone can be on social media and post whatever content, post whatever it is that they want to do, literally everyone can have, anyone and everyone can have a platform and can have an opinion. So it's just people have been trained from birth to be suggestible, and because of their suggestibility, it's like oftentimes they can put down their own desires or their own goals and aspirations because they'll hear someone else's opinion of that person saying, oh, that they shouldn't do it, or like that's a bad idea, or this and that, and then they'll feel bad. Knowing them feeling bad is because their inner being, their true self, is basically telling them that they don't, that your inner self is not agreeing with that person telling you you shouldn't do it. That's why you feel bad, because that person shot down your idea and you felt deep down inside you felt it was a good idea. It was something that you wanted to pursue, something that you were passionate about, that you wanted to make happen. Someone else tells you it's not a good idea and you feel bad. And the reason why you feel bad is because your true self, your inner self, does not agree with that statement. Because your true self and inner self knows that you should be doing that, you should be pursuing that, because you felt good about it in the first place. But because you were so suggestible, you took that person's word as gospel and you decided not to do it, and now you're mad and frustrated and you're just unhappy with how things are going. That's nobody else's fault but your own, right? This is the biggest problem that people face. It's like, I truly believe that suggestibility also stems from people's just, I guess, laziness, if you want to call it, just unwillingness to think for themselves, right? Because thinking requires like processing power and using your mind, and for most people it's just a lot easier to not use your mind, right? To just go off of what other people are saying, or to just do what you're being told, right? It's a lot easier to do what you're being told, because then it's like, okay, you can just minimize the brain power that's required and just do the activity that needs to get done, right? People don't want to think for themselves for that reason, but I also think is also because people aren't doing the best job of taking care of themselves either, right? People are not really getting the appropriate amount of sleep. People are just mindlessly scrolling through social media, and it's just their attention span is shortened because they need to have all these videos with all these like cuts and everything, right? People are just eating fast food nonstop, and so they're, for me, I haven't eaten fast food in like a very long time. Like I'm talking about like the chains. Like I'm not talking about like just eating like a regular hamburger, like, we eat burgers, whatever. I'm talking about like from like chain restaurants, like your McDonald's, your Burger. Like I haven't had fast food in years, and I'm so happy to say that because as a kid, I essentially grew up on fast food, so I'm blessed to say that. But for people who till this day eat fast food like nonstop, it's like your body is from head to toe, you're just filled with chemicals. And if I were to eat fast food right now, I can immediately feel my mind getting foggy. I can immediately feel that like it's that I wouldn't be able to think straight. Like mental clarity is going out of the window when eating fast food. And there's people who eat fast food like all the time, who that's their first go-to meal. You're filled with chemicals. You can't think straight. Like you probably haven't experienced mental clarity in a long time. And so of course, it's so much easier to be suggestible when you're not thinking straight, when your system isn't clear, when you're eating healthy, when you're getting sleep, when you're right. So I feel like, and even to this day, it's clear as day that most people don't think, because if people actually thought about, like, you can take a couple, it's not even hard to figure that. You can take a couple minutes, go somewhere where there's a lot of people, right? And you can just eavesdrop, just overhear conversation. Because if people actually thought before they spoke or said things, they would not be saying the things that they would say if they put thought into it, right? You can hear all the time from people you know, or like coworkers, or being in school. If people actually put thought into everything, like every word they said, they wouldn't be saying half of the things that they say. People wouldn't be making half of the decisions that they're making if they put thought into the decisions that, you know, if they actually put thought into everything that they did. So it's crazy that most people don't put thought into things. So this is why I believe that people are so suggestible, right? I have this other story that I want to share that I've been wanting to share for so long, but I've been waiting for like the right video to do it, and this is the one right here. And you got this is what I'm talking about with suggestibility, right? That people are easily influenced by other people's opinions or things that they hear. So me and my mom were essentially going through a store, and we're at the cosmetic section. So she's, buying cosmetic products, and she sees someone she recognizes. So she calls out this person's name, and then, they start having conversations, right? And so it's a good conversation. They catch up. Like, I'm pretty sure they've gone to like church together, right? So, they're religious. And I remember this guy, he was basically saying how he saw in the news that there was a town that essentially in this area, there were people there that were doing like these evil rituals, and all these crazy things were happening. And you could tell the entire time, just by the look, just by his face alone, you can tell that he was like visibly disturbed, that he was just at a loss of words as like what he heard, and like just the information that he came across, and he was just in disbelief that something like this could be happening. And you can tell based on his face, his reaction, everything. It was almost like you would think that the way he felt about it, that this was essentially the end of like mankind. This is it. It's over. Like the world is ending. It's crumbling before our very eyes. Like that's the energy he gave off when he was telling this story. And so the whole time, I was there, like listening to the conversation, and like I essentially had a poker face the whole time, because for me it sounded too hard to believe, like too hard to be true. Like it was very unlikely that this was happening. And so I was leaning towards not believing him over believing him, but I still gave him the benefit of doubt and said, you know what? I'll just operate with the assumption that this is all true. The entire time when I was listening to the conversation, like I wasn't chiming in with like follow-up questions or anything. I was just standing there just listening, just because I didn't want to egg on the conversation. Like it was a conversation that like I listened to it, but once again, I was very aware that I had the power to accept or reject other people's ideas, beliefs, anything. So mentally, I had already rejected it all, but I was just curious to what he had to say. So that's why I was just all ears listening, but I wasn't trying to like continue the dialogue, if that makes sense, right? So he's explaining all these like crazy things that are happening, right? All these evil rituals that are happening. And the entire time I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, how is this affecting you? Like to put things in context, guys. The area that he was referring to, which is happening in the world, like let's just say you were in New York City and you wanted to take a flight there. It would literally take anywhere from potentially 10 to 14 hours on a flight to arrive at the place where these quote unquote evil rituals were happening. This is literally on the other side of the hemisphere, on the other side of the world from us. So even if all these crazy things and crazy rituals are happening, the entire time I'm thinking, how is this affecting you again? Right? Like, if these like, let's just say these things were happening, let's just say under the assumption that all these things are happening, how is this affecting your life anyways? you're I don't think he was from that country, right? But if he wasn't from that country, it's like chances are you're probably not going to visit that country. And if it's happening in a very specific small town, which that's what it seemed like it was happening, you're probably never going to go to that town. You're probably never going to see these people or come across these people. And even if this were true, how is this affecting you in any way, shape, or form? You're literally 10 to 14 hours at the minimum on a flight away from this area. This is another country on the other side of the world. Had you not ever come across that news channel or whatever source of information you got that from, you wouldn't even know this is happening. You wouldn't even know this exists. And if because he was working at the cosmetic place, right? And you learn that information, right? If you step out of your job, step out of the building that you're working at, and you look around outside, everything looks the same. You go right back to your home. Everything in your home is the same. You look outside of your home in your neighborhood, everything's the same. Nothing's changed. Had you not come across that media outlet that told you about that information, you would not even be aware this is happening. It's not affecting you in any way, shape, or form. And how is that information benefiting your life, anyways? This is what I mean when people are so suggestible, because this person, it literally looked like the world was like, you could see in his eyes, like this was the apocalypse. This was doomsday. Everything is going to end soon. The way he was explaining the whole situation about these people doing evil rituals. It could have been some sort of prank. Not that I agree with that should be a prank, but like it could have been some sort of prank to scare people or something. Like what, like I don't know. But regardless, is neither here nor there. How is that affecting you, or how is that even benefiting your life in any way, shape, or form? It literally does not affect you. But this is what I mean, where people are just so suggestible that it's like they come across this information and like they just lose it. Like it's just they lose all sense of thought, and just everything just begins crumbling in their world when this literally does not have any effect or impact on you or your life. But people are just so suggestible that they'll listen to this information, and it's like they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. When I'm hearing this, and for me, it's just like it's going in. I mean, I'm listening to it because I'm just interested in like just the juicy details, but it's for me, it's just going in through one ear and out the other, because I'm just like, okay, well, I can just disagree with this and not have this be truth for me. I don't have to agree with this, so like I'm just gonna not agree with it. And then for me, boom, it's that simple. I can just keep it pushing, and I can enjoy the rest of my day and have fun, and I can just laugh at this interesting story that I was told, whether true or not, doesn't have to affect me. Like, you know? And this is how people need to operate. But this is what happens when people think for themselves. That was me in that moment, thinking for myself and saying, you know what? This doesn't have to be true to me. Everything is fine. Nothing's changed in my life. And had I not met this person, I wouldn't even know this information anyways. So why does it matter? Like, but this, and if you're watching this video and you understand where I'm coming from, you understand my perspective, this is what happens when you when you invest in yourself, when you develop yourself, right? Because when you go through personal development information and courses and things like that, you change as a person. You become a different person. You think differently. You become a better version of yourself. You're more in tune with yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, right? You're more in control. And so you grow as a person, right? You don't just like leave the gates open for just anything to come into your life, right? No, it's like you're standing guard at the gate, protecting yourself and your own peace and your sanity. And so if you're someone who invests in yourself, right, for personal development and growth, you should be seeing these changes in yourself as well, right? You start becoming less suggestible because you start thinking for yourself. You start sifting through and filtering out information, because you understand that not everything has to be true. That not Because the moment you agree with something and have it be true, that's when it can become your truth. And when you're thinking for yourself, you begin filtering things out, because you understand the power of letting something be your truth, and you want to make sure that you want your truth to be the truth, to be what you want your life to be, right? All of the good things you want in life, you want that to be part of your truth. And that comes with thinking for yourself and not being so suggestible. I'm not saying that like you shouldn't have any suggestibility, right? Like part of being open-minded is being able to listen to other people's opinions, but you don't want to be so open-minded that your opinions are no longer yours, that you're just living life from what you're being told from other people. At a certain point, you need to take control over your life and make decisions for what's best for you. And then information that comes your way, you want to be able to think for yourself so that you can sift through and decide whether or not you want to adopt this idea or reject it. That's what it is. Most people have been trained to be so suggestible that they're easily influenced by other people's opinions. Other people's opinions are just other people's opinions. They don't have to be truth. They don't have to be your truth. You have the power to choose. This is the biggest problem that people face. They're way too suggestible. Anything that they hear from anyone, they accept it. They don't ever think for themselves. They don't ever think, you know what? That opinion came from that person, so that's just a reflection of that person's mind and where they're thinking, their train of thought. That has nothing to do with me. And what someone else thinks about me is none of my business anyways. People don't think that way. They just hear something, someone says something about them. If it's good, they'll like it and be happy. If it's bad, they'll be mad at that person. So what you're saying is that other people and the world around you have control over your feelings and your thoughts. That everything around you has control over you. So what you're saying is you literally have zero control over your emotions, your thoughts, and your life. That's literally what you're saying. When are people going to wake up? When are people going to wake up and take control over their own lives? I understand that we've been trained this way our whole lives, so it's not easy to just, after you watch this video, to just immediately change and just like, no longer be suggestive. Right? I'm not saying that. This is a gradual process because for most people, they've been so suggestible their whole lives that they're unaware of themselves being so suggestible. I'm just saying, take time to reflect. Take time to reflect on your own life and think about moments like this where you've accepted someone's idea even though it wasn't something you agreed with, right? You can decide for yourself. You can begin think from this point on. You can begin taking the steps to start thinking for yourself, to make decisions that's best for yourself, right? And not be so suggestible, right? Being able to listen to yourself when you need to. If there's an important decision for yourself in your life, being able to listen to yourself and doing what's best for yourself. Being able to listen to other people's opinions and say, you know what? That does not have to be the truth. I can decide what I want to be my truth. And if it's something doesn't benefit you, why adopt it? Or on the flip side, if you come across an idea that's better than your train of thought or that's better than how you've been doing things, being open to accepting that idea, right? Be open-minded to listen to what other people have to say, right? Because you can't learn from information that you already have yourself, right? You have to learn. You have to be open-minded to absorb new information, to improve and grow as a person and be better. But you also don't want to be so suggestible that the world around you takes control over your life, right? You want to be able to establish a level of control in your own life, a level of confidence and certainty with yourself that you can make decisions for yourself, that you can think for yourself and do what's best for yourself, rather than having the world control you. So this is the biggest problem that people face, because when people are so suggestible, everyone around them, the environment, all the variables, everything else is controlling them, rather than they themselves being in control of themselves and their world. So this video is just to help you see the truth, right? And hopefully help you take your power back so that you can be the one in control. If you haven't been, right? So you can be the one to take control over your life because you deserve it. So once again, guys, this is a longer video, but if you made it to the end, thank you so much. Comment down below suggestibility if you made it this far. Thank you so much for watching it to the end of the video. This is Joel, and I'm out. See you guys for the next video.